Does homeschooling take less time than traditional school? That's what we're talking about today, so be sure to stick around. Hi, I'm Rebecca with the Parent Teacher Bridge, where you can find the ideas and resources you need to empower you to be your child's most influential teacher. And today I'm talking about the time it takes to homeschool. Does it take the same amount of time as traditional school? Maybe it's the time factor that's holding you up and you feel like you don't have enough time to homeschool. So let's talk about that. But before we do, please click like and subscribe and comment below. Your comment may be something you think that I've left out, or it may be a question you have. Either way, I'll always respond to those. Now, here's the short answer. Homeschooling is very customizable. It can take as long as you want or as little as you want. So it's difficult to give a blanket statement for everyone. But many homeschoolers that I talk to will tell you that it does not take as long as it would in a traditional school. If you think about it, in a traditional school, children attend 5 days a week for about 7 hours each. That's 35 hours a week. There's not one homeschooler that I have met who will say they spend 35 hours a week with each child on their schoolwork. Now, if you think about a traditional school, you have one teacher per 20 to 25 students at least. And so there's not going to be as much of that one-on-one time. You've got the whole management of groups of children from one location to another. All of that stuff adds up. And in today's society, we've gotten used to both parents working outside the home, and school is just a place where we send the child while the parents are working. Of course, we expect them to teach the children and all of that, but a lot of parents would seriously freak out if school was only a half day all the time because they wonder, oops, what am I going to do with my children? So yes, it's become a thing where parents expect it to be 7 hours a day, but homeschoolers will tell you that it does not have to take that long. Now, with the one-on-one time that a homeschool parent can provide, a child can master a specific skill in several days, maybe one day, up to a week. That their public school counterpart, it may take that child several weeks to master the skill because they just may not have as much time devoted to that or as much one-on-one time with the teacher to determine the specific mistake a child is making and how to correct that. And yes, even a homeschool parent who has many children is still able to give more one-on-one time with each child than a public school teacher who is under certain scheduling demands with more than 20 students. So if you're a homeschooler watching this, you're probably thinking, so if homeschooling takes less time, why does it feel like I'm always running out of time? Well, first of all, that's normal. I certainly go through that. But one thing that I learned in my experience teaching was that it was never a bad thing to overplan. In fact, a good teacher does overplan. They're not just like sitting around saying, well, we did everything. What am I going to do next? Okay. So just because you overplan and you don't get to finish everything, that's not a bad thing because the goal is not check, 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 get everything done. The goal is actually to learn. So you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, did my child learn? Did they learn what I wanted them to learn? Did they grow? And if so, it doesn't matter if you didn't get all assignments done because different people plan at different rates. Maybe you are over planning, but that just means that you will have more things to tack on to the next day and you can put it off again until later. So there are a couple of things that might suck away your time if you're a homeschool family. It could be lack of routines. We know that routines save time because you don't have to make that same decision every day. You just know every day at this time we're going to do X, Y, and Z. It could be regular everyday distractions. I knew a homeschooling mom one time who had issues with people knocking on her door and interrupting her time with her children, so she just put a sign up on her door. It could be phone calls, other things, maybe another parent working out of the home, all sorts of distractions, or just everyday errands that you are running. Those things can add up over time. And sometimes when it gets out of hand in our house, I have to make a decision and say, we are going nowhere today. Not even going to mail a letter. We are not going to the grocery store, nowhere. We need to get some things done. When your time starts running out and you get frustrated, just remember The main goal is to learn. So if you do have to do some of those outside errands, ask yourself, how can I make this a learning experience for my child? Because I guarantee you they are learning. Children learn through example, and they are watching you all the time. Involve your child in those errands, and they are learning something valuable. You are getting your child ready for life in the world as an adult. And when you realize that, and you can make learning out of some of those distractions and errand running that you have to do, you're going to feel a whole lot better about it and recognize that learning was taking place. Now, if you are on the fence about the idea of homeschooling, what's holding you back? Here are a few common answers that I hear from people. One, maybe you lack the confidence. Not to worry. There are tons of resources online. Maybe you don't feel like you can teach a certain type of math. You can buy curriculum. Sometimes curriculum is even free online, where there is a teacher that's recorded or live who is teaching a certain subject, and you are there to help your child along the way. There's just so many resources. I can't go into all of them right now, but let me just say there has never been more choices now to homeschool than what there are. So if you don't feel confident in a certain area, I promise you that there are materials that are there to help you. They are written for homeschool parents, for people who maybe weren't trained in a certain area or whatever. They're very user friendly. If you don't like something, you can always switch. Another one I hear is parents lacking the patience to be with their child that many hours. And the first thing I would say there is it's important for a homeschool parent to carve out some me time. It can be stressful to be with your children every hour of every day, even if you love your children. So make a point to have a certain scheduled time where you can get some me time for yourself, even if that's just sitting in a quiet house by yourself or going out with some friends. And the next thing I would say on that note is if you struggle being around your child so much, maybe there's a relationship issue that you need to work through. And homeschooling could be a very good opportunity for you to work through that relationship. If it's a behavioral problem that your child is having, make that one of your learning goals. Another concern I have for parents on the topic of homeschooling is that they're concerned about, will they have to quit their job in order to homeschool? Well, I can't answer that for you. There's lots of different jobs. But in fact, since 2020, many jobs have been made available to work from home. So that may be an option that you look at. Many homeschool parents that I know do still work either full-time jobs or part-time jobs. So it is possible, knowing that homeschooling doesn't take a full 7 hours in the day, that can offer you some relief to know that you can take a few hours of time in the afternoon, the evening, or even the weekend to accomplish homeschooling with your child, even if you are working a job. And let's be honest, homeschooling is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of the parent's time and sometimes the parent's finances. I know it has been that case for our family, but most homeschool parents would tell you that that sacrifice is indeed worth it. Another concern I have finally is that parents may be concerned about their child's socialization or the ability to participate in sports or extracurricular activities. But when you think about it, a typical school child is socialized either A, with teachers who are old enough to be their parents, or B, with other children that were born only within 1 year of their age. So that's not very diverse, is it? Versus homeschoolers get to be around everyone their parents are around when they're out and about in their daily errands and activities. They get to be around all ages of children and interact with them. So it tends to be a little bit more diverse in the area of age. And they do get more real world interactions throughout the day. One thing that some homeschooling friends have taken advantage of is private sports organizations and arts and theater. They've just gone through certain programs to get their child involved with a particular group. Those programs might be during the day if you have a healthy homeschool population in your area, or they might be in the evening if your homeschool population isn't as strong to support one during the day. Either way, most of those are made available these days, and you don't necessarily have to go through your child's school. And don't forget, With socialization in the public schools come some things that are negative, such as bullying, judging others, certain inappropriate language, and other things that your child is just exposed to because there's kids coming from other homes and their parents expose them to things. So your child is going to hear about it on the playground, basically. With homeschooling, that's far less likely to happen. Doesn't mean that it's impossible, but I've been homeschooling 9 years and I'm in an area of the country with lots of homeschoolers, and by and large, I see that the socialization is different and it isn't always a bad thing. So if you're curious about homeschooling, check out my survival guide for the new homeschool family. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you have a struggling reader, you might be interested in one of my courses. You can find those on theparentteacherbridge.com. Click store. I will leave a link to those in the description below as well. And remember, parents, you are your child's most influential teacher.